Welcome guys, in this week's video we have a DAF XF model year 17 that has been dropped into us with an amber alternator malfunction, engine malfunction and exhaust system malfunction, and to top it off it's gone into D-rate. Talk about going for a full house. The icing on the cake for me here was it was driven here on a power pack, and that's how I'm going to have to get it into the workshop. With Davey not wanting to connect due to the low battery voltage, I decided it would be best to charge the batteries first and start with some basic tests, such as do we have any blown fuses, as you can never get that many warnings without a power supply issue. This is where your diagnostic methodology would come in. If we had decent voltage in the batteries, we could first identify the DTCs. We'd then use checking data and identify the systems relating to the fault codes, then come up with a test plan with all the information of what we do and do not know. We could then process this into an action plan, such as which specific fuses to check relating to the fault codes, and not have to worry about every fuse in the fuse box. But as it is, I'm checking every fuse, which we wouldn't have had to do had I had the fault codes and a test plan. Anyway, here we go, 3 blown fuses. What fuses do we have blown here? We have B29, which would be E027, as it would be found in DAF's diagram, which is the 12-24 volt converter. Not really what we're looking to fix, but hey ho. D26, aka E443. This is important as it's our power supply to the EAS unit. And C14, which is E114, our auxiliary heater fuse. An hour or so later, with our fuses replaced and batteries now charged, we could finally look to see what we were dealing with. If I had a battery maintainer available, waiting for this to charge could have been avoided, and I'd feel so much happier about programming ECUs. Everyone loves the voltage dropping below 24 volts when the truck has had the headlights on for half an hour while programming an ECU. With me now not going insane listening to this constant beeping sound, I'd say changing the fuses has fixed half of our problems, and with the pages and pages of inactive faults, we can now concentrate on the active faults, specifically this one left on the dash, alternator malfunction. Now, I've got a good post in my members area I wrote up explaining how this works on Euro 6 trucks, but with this being a model year 17, you're in luck as I'm going to show you here. I'd better throw the cab over as this LIN system we need to access is generated from the chassis module front to the alternator. A new alternator. The less informed first go-to component to change. You can't beat throwing 600 quid worth of alternator at a truck because it won't charge. Well done to whichever technician changed this, making a good name for our industry here. So with that out the way, let's look at our LIN fault and see what's going on. As you can see, one wire. That's all this alternator needs. Turn on, turn off. Do I have a fault? LIN, which stands for Local Interconnect Network, is very similar to CAN, which stands for Controller Area Network, and as such complements each other well. In one hand you have CAN serving VECU to chassis module front with high speed error sensitive needs and operating on a 5 volt bus, whereas you have LIN, which is low speed, low bandwidth, 12 volts single wire relaying information on when to turn the alternator charging on and off, for example. With our ignition on, we can see if this alternator is receiving data from the chassis module front. With my mini scope back probing the LIN wire, we can see that we have data transmission on the network. What you can see here is the header of the frame, the start of the brake field, some of the sync field, which would all be followed by the data. Unfortunately, you can't decode the data section here, but for a proof of the signal, it works just fine for me. The LIN system works on 12 volts as you can see in the bottom left hand corner of my scope, and if you don't have a scope, a multimeter would have sufficed to check this LIN bus. But I'm a visual learner and not good with numbers, so if I have the opportunity to look at a signal, I will. With our signal looking good, why won't our alternator work? Well, this doesn't look good. We have no voltage on the B+ terminal. We best follow this down to our power distribution board on the side of the engine. With our cover unclipped, we can get our test light in here and check our engine fuses for power. As we work our test light across our mega fuses, this last one here is for the alternator. And as you can see, we don't have any power after the fuse. We best whip this out and check it for continuity. With no continuity in our fuse, we can slip in a new fuse here and carry out our checks again for voltage. As you can see, we have voltage on both sides of the new fuse now, so we can get this cover back on. With our fuse replaced, you can see that we have voltage at the alternator, because how will an alternator charge batteries if it's not connected to B+? With the cab on the way down, we have successfully identified our alternator fault. Can you imagine changing an alternator for a blown fuse? With the cab down, we can jump in, fire the truck up and check the dash for our warning light. With all the warning lights out, I'd say job well done. And with a quick check on the batteries, we can confirm our state of charging. So, you might ask yourself, what would blow a fuse like this? It could be from jump starting the vehicle incorrectly, or it could have possibly been this gem I found in the cab. Safe to say I insulated this before returning it to the customer. As always, drop a like, hit me up in the comments, check out my other videos on batteries and the power distribution boards on DAF trucks here. And I'll catch you in the next one.